you know the story, you know that the Lorax spoke for the trees, and you probably also know that the villain in the story was the Onceler, and the Onceler caused all sorts of problems by cutting down a whole bunch of trees. And if you are a Darien resident or Rowayton resident, you may know already that we've had some Onceler-like activity going on here right in our own community with a bunch of trees getting cut down and people not being real happy about it. So we thought this would be a great opportunity to give you guys and to give the community a chance to help replant Darien. We have 3 trees. We have a classic Quercus Rubra, which is the northern red oak. That's a big beastly tree, can live 300 years, 100 feet tall if not more. Pretty slow growing, but oaks are fantastic because they are a host plant for over 300 different species of caterpillar or butterflies, moths, and wasps, not to mention the fact that they produce acorns. Now, some people have love-hate relationships with acorns, but let me tell you something, they are a very important food source for lots of small mammals and birds in the fall and winter time, so oaks are incredibly important for wildlife. So northern red oak is choice number 1 in our trees. Second one is Betula Lenta. So Betula Lenta is a sweet birch, also native here to Connecticut. Sweet birch is another tall growing tree. That's going to grow 40 feet, 60 feet, maybe 80 feet tall over time. Pretty quick growing, and like most birches, they're going to grow in a very upright, in a very vertical shape. So if you want tall but not too much this way, Betula Lenta is a great tree. If you've ever spent any time on a chairlift up north in Smuggler's Notch or Okemo or Mount Snow, you've probably seen sweet birch before and didn't even know it because they love growing in the mountains in northern New England, and they're native here all the way down through Virginia and the Appalachians down to Georgia. So sweet birch is a great one. And then a personal favorite of mine, this is the only of the 6 that's not native specifically here in Connecticut, is Oxydendron arborium, which is known as the sourwood tree. It's also known as the lily of the valley tree. Years ago, when I first got into this field, into this horticulture world that I'm in, I became very fascinated by this tree early because the Oxydendron behaves differently from most of the flowering trees that we use in our landscapes here in Connecticut. When we think about our redbuds and our dogwoods and our cherries and our crab apples, those trees all bloom like from early April through early May. That's the big show, and then once the big show is over, it's over till next year. The Oxydendron actually blooms in June, and it has nice white flowers that hang down in clusters. So not only does it bloom at a different time of year, it has a completely different look and effect with its flowers. And by the way, guys, honeybees absolutely love sourwood flowers. And in parts of Appalachia, sourwood honey is a very sought after and coveted honey. So Oxydendron arborium, sourwood, and besides the breathtaking white flowers in June and July, the entire tree turns a iridescent red in the fall before the foliage drops for the winter season. So you have 2 beautiful seasons of interest there from the Oxydendron, and those are our 3 native trees. And we have 3 special deciduous native shrubs to talk about. So guys, remember, deciduous means they lose their leaves during the wintertime. So all these trees and these 3 shrubs are going to lose their leaves during the wintertime. So the first one is called Lindera benzoin. So Lindera benzoin is the northern spice bush. And the northern spice bush is going to grow 6 to 12 feet tall and 6 to 12 feet wide. So it's kind of a big rounded shrub. If you guys have ever grown a burning bush or have burning bush at home, it's going to grow in that kind of shape. So a big moundy thing. They bloom very early in the springtime, March, sometimes early April, that time of year, with pale yellow flowers. Their flowers are a very important nectar source to mason bees and early pollinators, so a good thing to have around. For early pollen and nectar seekers. The northern spice bush. The northern spice bush is also a host plant to probably the most ridiculously adorable caterpillar you'll ever see in your entire life. The northern spice bush swallowtail caterpillar they're just crazy, and hopefully you guys will get some spice bush planted and get to meet those guys because they're a lot of fun. So that one, that's a really good one if you have like a 6 to 12 foot wide space you would like to fill up. Like maybe there's a view or some neighbors you don't want to look at in the summertime. The spice bush would be great for there. The second one is Hamamelis virginiana. That's witch hazel. You may have heard of witch hazel before. It's been used for years medicinally, since colonial times for medicinal purposes. But again, it's a great Connecticut native. It's going to grow 12 to 15 feet tall and wide. So another wide spreading deciduous shrub. So again, great for blocking views during the summertime, when it's got its leaves. But again, flowers really early, so even earlier than the spice bush with similar pale yellow flowers. But the witch hazel is going to bloom oftentimes in February. So if you have hellebores at home that are blooming in February, they're going to bloom right around the same time your witch hazel. And the witch hazel also turns a really nice golden yellow color in the fall. So that's another attribute. So you're getting two nice seasons of interest out of there. And our third native is the black Haw Viburnum, also known as Viburnum prunifolium. And that's another big one. That's going to grow 12 to 15 feet tall. But again, got white flowers in the springtime, a little later. We're talking April, May with the Viburnum. White flowers in the springtime that butterflies and bees love. And those white flowers will later on in the late summer, early fall, turn into berries that birds and lots of small rodents adore. So you're getting two seasons of interest and two benefits out of the black Haw Viburnum, which is one of my favorite viburnums, and it turns has nice fall foliage as well. So you're going to get some fall color out of the viburnum as well in the fall. Let me tell you about how to get the trees, because they're not going to be available here at the store. We're doing this online only. So this is going to be available through our website at gardenercenter.com. We're going to run the pre-orders for the native trees and shrubs from Friday, September 20th until Sunday, October 6th. That's going to be the pre-order period. And then when the trees come in, you're going to come in and pick them up between Monday, October 14th and Friday, October 18th. Let's replant Darien together.